The Kuril Islands, are they Russia's or Japan's? Before we discuss what each country thinks on the subject, we should look at the actual history. The Treaty of San Francisco required Japan to give up claim to the Kurils but not recognize Soviet ownership. This treaty was signed by 49 nations, but the Soviets abstained. The Soviet-Japanese Joint Declaration of 1956 was the last real attempt to solve the issue by dividing the islands, but it failed due to US intervention. Clearly, Japan doesn't have claim to these islands, but at least from a world or American perspective, neither do the Russians. It remains interesting then that the two different groups of people can be so entrenched in different sets of facts. What do the Russians think? In order to learn more about how each country views these events, I spoke with natives, and these are the general themes they came up with most often. These islands are without a doubt Russia's. Japan is just nationalistic, and it's America's fault because Japan having the islands would serve America's interests. Here are some of their actual quotes. It should be noted that it can't be verified that these are actual Russian citizens because they're Redditors, but the information is still insightful, and I would suggest pausing this video to read what they have to say. To summarize, they feel that Russians have already settled these islands and have maintained their hold on them since World War II. Additionally, they think that Japan owning the Kurils would open up the area for another US military base. Basically, the issue is already settled. What do the Japanese think? The Japanese people that I spoke with also shared some common themes. These islands are without a doubt Japan's. Nobody really cares anyway, and we should all get along. These quotes from native Japanese citizens express the exact opposite of what the Russians communicated. Again, I would recommend pausing to read, but summed up, they aren't extremely well versed on this topic, and it's more of an old person or a government issue. So whatever the outcome, they should just get along. However, since the islands were ceded to Japan in the Meiji period, pre-World War expansion, they believe they still have a right to them, just like they still have Hokkaido and the Ryukyu Islands. The Japanese certainly think that this issue is far from settled, but are willing to work it out. The Russians, by contrast, seem very passionate about this issue and claim that it has already been settled. Each nation has enough supporting facts to at least keep their bases convinced. Whether the islands are stolen or settled, it remains clear that these two sides will continue to have differing views until some kind of change occurs, and I would suggest that when we look at what seems like black and white issues of our own, we check the other side to see if they aren't valid as well.